Hey everybody and welcome back to the Pro Antagonist channel. 1 month ago, I made a tier list of my impressions of 20 different new 2022 anime, summer 2022 anime, just based on their trailers and descriptions alone, and poster art and just general stuff that you can know before watching an anime. Now I'm going to be tier listing all of them based on the 2 episode rule concept. The 2 episode rule means first 2 episodes of an anime, you should be able to figure out whether or not you like it or not. You should kind of have a lot of your basic thoughts about it. Usually people use that rule to figure out whether they're going to continue an anime or drop it. So we're going to do that today. However, this is going to be a longer video than I expected, and I don't like to make my videos on this channel too long, so this will be part 1 of 2, with the second part coming out next Saturday. So we're going to do a whopping 10 of these different anime. I think I'll start with the Uncle Isekai, because I had put this one in season's best. This one is actually quite good. I don't know if it'll be the best of the season, but I'm definitely going to say all the way, and there's 3 reasons why. One, it's incredibly relevant and has incredibly great new modern takes, except everything about this is actually based on a man who was from the 90s when he was a kid and got isekai'd into another world and came back, and he's basically just bugging his nephew the whole time and having his nephew teach him about how the world works in 2017. It's actually quite funny. Basically, the man gets sent 17 years into the future, effectively, after he's been in this isekai world. And yeah, there's a lot of funny intermittent stuff with that. It's like a comedy mixed with an isekai, and it's quite interesting. I've never seen anything like it, and it's quite funny. Next one we're going to do Phantom of the Idol. This one is actually pretty good. I didn't think much of it when I saw the trailer and the video and everything going with it. It's pretty funny. So basically the guy, like, this is actually not that amazing of an anime. It's not like a definite top tier quality anime, but I think it's kind of funny and weird and interesting. I'm sort of borderline between better, I guess, and crappier ones, only because it's not all that great. I would say that this anime is pretty decent. You have a guy who's really lazy, even though he's apparently very attractive to his audience. He's an idol, and he doesn't really want to have to do all the work and put all the effort into being an idol. But then there's this ghost of a girl who had died a year prior or something. She was an idol, and she was always hoping to be the superstar idol. Very wholesome, dreamed about performing for all of her fans and everything, but tragically died early. And she figures out that she can enter into his body and take him over. And it's an ensuing comedy based on that. Basically, you can figure out the gist of it all from episode 1, really, but I think episode 2 kind of paints a better picture. I would say that honestly, it's not like tremendously good. I think it's the kind of anime where you get like the basic premise and characters. Like the characters are not all that complex or anything crazy like that, but I'm going to put this one. I'll actually put this one in crappier ones only because I didn't drop it after 2 episodes, but it's not quite as high as some of the other ones on this list are going to be. Next, we're going to have Luminous Witches. Luminous Witches, this one is the music one. And basically, this one was based on Strike Witches. It was actually, like, I've never seen Strike Witches before, but I'm considering this a new series because it doesn't have anything to do with that. It just kind of exists in the same universe somehow. And I didn't really consider that a spin-off for the purposes of this anime thing because I've never seen it. I've never seen Strike Witches or anything like that. But, yeah, Luminous Witches. Instead of doing all the weird air girl combat, it's musical. They dance around in the air and sing. And it's actually kind of wholesome. So this anime, not bad whatsoever. But it sort of lacks the pizzazz. I'm going to put it in crappier ones, and I'm going to tell you why. Because this anime, the Berlin Witches, whatever, Luminous Witches, crap, whatever it's called, has this long title that I can't remember because they all have these weird long titles. But they sing, they dance in the sky, that's all wholesome and everything. However, it's not all that interesting, if I'm being honest. It also it rated itself, or it got itself a rating. I say it rated itself because I don't believe this is quite the non-paranormal thing. It got itself a rating on Mal of exactly 6.66. And I don't like that rating very much. So I don't know that I want to drop it because then I'll be cursed. And I definitely can't call it the season's best because I'll be cursed. But I'll put it in crappier ones, but I won't put it in the back. So that way I won't be cursed. This is actually a partial second take because I considered throwing it and dropped after 2 episodes, but you know, I'd feel kind of cursed. Honestly, very cursed. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do that. Just too cursed. Maybe, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to check in on this one a little bit later too. A very cursed anime. Actually, it's not very cursed at all. It's actually quite wholesome. The fact that it's got a 6.66 rating on Mal, it doesn't make any sense because literally all I can tell you is wholesome. It's not even all that funny. It's not all that attractive. It's not all that ecchi. It's not all that like fun, but it's kind of wholesome, but also cursed because of that number. And I don't play around with that stuff on this channel. I get a Candy Queen Charlotte, give me a head bonk or something like that. I don't know, but check out Editors on Candy Queen Charlotte. She's great. Links to her on my channel as well as possibly in the description. We're going to also do RWBY because I feel like this one is kind of interesting. I'm actually going to plonk this in better, I guess, because it's honestly pretty good anime. I'll take it. I'd say I'll watch it probably most of the way. It's not all that bad, mainly because it's based on something that's already succeeded, and that sort of gave me a little bit of confidence for this. But the Rooster Teeth thing was not originally an anime. I feel like they made this into an anime, so now that they can call RWBY officially an anime. Ruby. It's very consonanty, and I don't like it. There are only consonants, although the Y is probably a vowel based on how it's being used, but it's the sometimes Y. Ruby, RWBY, whatever you want to call it. Very interesting. Honestly, there's not a lot to say about it other than these girls who do like this shonen type fighting thing and go to this school and end up in like school drama. They create a team. The Ruby girl, who's actually the R in Ruby because each letter stands for like their color apparently maybe, and also their name. And Ruby, she's pretty cool. I'd say that she is mostly sort of a peppy leader type character, but maybe not kind of the obvious leader in a group, as some people figure out. This is sort of a team building anime, and technically, I mean, you can watch 2 episodes, but I decided to put this mid by the end of episode 2. I have seen episode 3, of course, by the time of this recording. Some of the anime I've actually seen episode 3. And just, yeah, I mean, this thing releases episodes 1 through 3 on the way I watch it, so you can kind of watch them back to back to back. But anyway, yeah, Ruby, already pretty established thing. I knew about it already, and I'd seen bits and pieces of the actual Rooster Teeth animation, and yeah, being adapted into an anime, not bad. Next, we're going to do slime thingy thing. All right, it's not amazing, but I'll give it this. The slimes are kind of cool. This is sort of a generic isekai, and by that, or a generic sort of fantasy isekai, which I guess is really redundant. I feel like all the isekais are kind of generic fantasy. The difference being, and there's always a difference in all of these, basically. Like, they have a lot of these generic isekai, but the difference in this one, wait for it, he can control slimes. And they've got like these little personalities. It's like VeggieTales. You got all the grapes. Except none of them are Jewish. And also, This guy just kind of is overpowered and kind of ridiculous, like in a lot of isekai anime. It's really not all that terrible. I don't know that I'd watch the whole thing, but it's definitely like not quite the one where I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna drop it. And I would only say that because there's some kind of interesting things in the anime. I don't know. If you're looking for a great time, this is not the great time. But if you're looking for something to watch, I feel like this could be it for you. Um, it's a really base take. We're gonna do Vermeil and Gold, and I'm going to say all the way with this one. I'm just gonna come right out and say it, and I only say that because it reminds me a lot of this particular anime that came out, Marimashita Iramakun, or Welcome to Demon School Iramakun in English. It was actually a pretty good anime. I've watched the first and part of the second season of that, and the way it reminds me of this is that basically this guy has a familiar who is this tall, sexy woman, and he has this best friend girl who is this woman, and there are other characters involved in this series, but they're really just these three in the middle. They're the only ones that really matter, mainly because this guy has like ecchi moments with this girl, and that creates like drama moments with this girl who clearly likes the guy, and it's just kind of weird. Honestly, it's not all that bad. I'd say all the way only because it's kind of funny, and the ecchi comedy to me is a little bit funny with this one. Maybe more funny than other things, but I would say that this one is definitely an all the way kind of anime, only because it just checks all the right boxes. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm easy. I'm easy to please. Not for these kinds of reasons, like these two reasons, but more so just because of the comedy. It's funny. It's funny watching the guy flustered, and his childhood friend here, also flustered, and just kind of an interesting, weird comedy anime. I don't know. It seemed kind of dark at first from the trailer, but it's more so lighthearted and ecchi from actually watching it a little bit. Definitely not something to write home about excellently. I'm kind of struggling with having this in all the way. I could put this in better, I guess, really. I mean, as far as the quality of the anime, but the funny, the pillow. Okay, for the head pillow, for the pillow, this one, I'm going to completely shoot my earlier statement in the foot. This guy has the perfect head pillow. That's why it goes in all the way. Because this guy should in my life should be going all the way. Don't read into that. We also have Parallel World Pharmacy. There's gonna be one more anime that I'm going to say is actually pretty good. I think I'd put it over Rawubi, but I don't think I'd put it in all the way necessarily because I don't know if it's gonna be that good of an anime. Really, it's kind of cool because this kid, he's formerly a doctor in his former life, or not a doctor, a pharmacological pharmacist. Like he does like medical science, but he does like the more pharmaceutical testing kind of thingies. I don't think he's all that into like actually being a well-paid doctor or anything like that. He's overworked. He's all terrible life. He's really overworked, and he's so overworked that one morning, or one late night, he goes to sleep, and in the morning he is dead. He just dies in his sleep, and it's really weird actually how that happens. He gets isekai'd because he died into this young little boy, which makes it very reminiscent of Ascendance of a Bookworm, although I feel like this one just kind of does it a little bit less good. So if you've ever seen Ascendance of a Bookworm, a very good anime, but this one is a little bit more so just like, oh, this kid can do pharmacological stuff, and he can make complex medicine. He knows about bacteria. And, I think that's cool and all. I think that I can appreciate the intelligence of this one, the sort of contrast between what someone knows now and what the entire medical establishment knew back then. But, it's not unbelievably special. I'd leave it in better, I guess. Next anime on the list, gonna be The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. This one is going to be in all the way. I'm going to put this one after Isekai Uncle, but Yakuza Babysitter, very wholesome, very adorable, very cute, very emotional. Honestly, I'd say this is easily one of the best anime of the season, these two. But I feel like, really, I kind of feel like there are going to be some that end up in the top. And I might move the order around a little bit, but only once I've gotten a chance to go through all of these. I'm not going to reveal the season's best quite yet. But these two are definitely candidates. Maybe this one, but you kind of understand that I'm putting in this one in all the way, just because I don't feel like it goes in mid, so it's higher up. It is kind of one of those I already know I'm gonna watch it all the way, but yeah, these two very good anime. This one is kind of similar to a lot of other anime in that you have like a bond between two unlikely people. You have the girl who is sort of this innocent young child with her own problems because her dad is a Yakuza and her mom is in a coma. And she is being taken care of by underling Yakuza who's all tough and rough and everything on the outside, very stoic, but really has a heart of gold. And there's this connection between them, and it's very wholesome and very amazing. And then there's this other dude who, in the middle here, I believe, he's actually hilarious. He's like the underling of this guy, but not like direct underling, more so of like the sort of the not henchman, but sidekick kind of dude. He's hilarious too. There's a lot of odd, funny, and wholesome and cute and kind of emotional moments in this anime. Not something I can get into a ton without sort of spoiling episode plots. I mean, I've already said Mom in the coma. That's a little bit spoilery, but not really to understand it. It gets revealed kind of early on. This is definitely good anime. Definitely watch. 100%. Let's go. Then Engage Kiss. This one's kind of interesting. I'll put this one in mid as well, but probably in the top of mid. Like it goes with these other two in terms of quality. This one is interesting. This guy can kiss this girl who's like a demon, but turns into like helps some. She turns into like some battle warrior, sort of combined with him, and his kiss and everything and all the powers and stuff. Not that he's a part of it, but she turns into this warrior that fights for him, and he's mercenarying for a bunch of stuff with other girl in a love triangle again. How many love triangles we got? We got this love triangle here. Got probably love triangle in terms of some of the other anime down here. I won't spoil them, but yeah, love triangle over here between girl, and guy. And this guy really likes this one girl, but is very partnery with Demon Girl for the other girl's sake. And it's a very tragic. I don't want to get into anything, mainly because I've already seen ahead a couple episodes beyond episode 2, and I'm going to give it what I would give it based on episodes 1 and 2, and which is better, I guess. This could honestly go up later on. And so this is kind of a video where I'm going to have takes that involve anime later on. But I think we should bid a fond farewell to my first drop of the day. Teppen, Laugh Until You Cry. This is going to be the last one before part 2, if you want to just skip ahead to part 2. But this, I do have to make several comments about this. This honestly is very wholesome in some ways. It's very good in some ways, but it just gets brought down in other ways. Like, it's very kind of cute and wholesome, but it's not like incredibly funny. And it doesn't make up for the fact that they introduced like 90 million characters in episode 1. I honestly don't know or care about any of the characters because they introduced 3 main girls and then a whole bunch of other, like, they have these 3-person like comedy teams, which it's sort of a style of comedy, like a storytelling, odd sort of bantery style of comedy. And there's so many different teams that they all introduce so early on. And it really doesn't help me that episode 2 doesn't actually exist online. And that's because they had to take it out, because they had something about an assassination as a joke in the episode. And unfortunately, the day prior to when it was supposed to air, big dude, big Giga Chad, Japanese man, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was very, very tragically assassinated. And it's just a very, very tragic moment for anime when this happens, because not only do the actual tragic moments in Japanese life happen, but then you have anime, which the studios are very, very understanding and nice. They are not going to air something that is likely to cause a lot of turmoil. For the lack of a better word, trigger a lot of people, but really not like bad triggering, like understandably so. Like when the big fire happened at one of the studios, they had to delay Fire Force for a little bit because they were like, there's a lot being felt right now. We're gonna hold off on this a little bit. Only problem I have is that this aired a month ago, or they're supposed to air about a month ago, and I don't know that they have any plans to air episode 2, so we might just be without it for a while. Maybe it's gonna be a lost episode. I don't really know, but for enough of those reasons, I'm gonna have to say dropped. It's tragic because I like this one in some aspects, very, very minute. It's kind of funny, but not like incredibly funny. Like for an anime about comedian trios, it's not all that funny. It tries, but it flops a little sometimes. And honestly, the opening was pretty good. I kind of like the opening to it, but it just can't make up for it. And so this is part 1 of 2. We're gonna do 9 of these other 10 anime. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is not gonna come out until like September, and I'm not waiting around when I want to talk about all these 9 other anime that I've seen episodes for. I also did this partially because Futopia does not have an episode that comes out until tomorrow. That would be its episode 2, so I technically can't talk about it from a 2-episode standpoint until I've watched episode 2. And that's part of the reason why I didn't talk about this one in particular. But a lot of anime more to get to. I will see you next Saturday to cover the next half.